Dear friends, this morning I was having breakfast with a young man who was born in a village in Rajasthan near Sirsa. And he told me that they had no hospital nearby, no doctor. And his father wanted to make him doctor. But somehow, he became an engineer. But he did not give up. He studied in India, he studied in USA. He got a scholarship and came back. And then he tried to mix engineering and medical sciences. And he explained me in detail that how he and his team is innovating the affordable oxygen systems, oxygen supply system, or a kind of ventilator, which is very expensive and sometimes harmful for the patients. They are inventing, I think they have already invented, a very cheap ventilator which can help the younger children. Nitish, I think his name was Nitish. So thank you, Nitish, for that. I met another young man yesterday, Manvendra, and his colleague, Astha. They are trying to create a sustainable city near Jaipur. Though he's a hotelier, but he wanted to bring a new dimension in the hotel business. I was talking to Nitish Desai last night, and he has built a university in Mumbai and getting inaugurated very soon. And he wanted to bring the virtues and values of freedom, innovation, multidisciplinary courses, and more importantly, the sense of global citizenship. I was talking to another gentleman who is busy in caring for the safety of women in India and elsewhere. I forgot his name. He was there last night. So many people since yesterday I was talking, and I realized that you in this hall bring an unprecedented and powerful tide of change. You are the real change makers. You represent disruption, innovation, creation, a combination of ideas and ideals. You also represent speed, because the world has never seen the change in so big speed as we see today. I recall 10 years ago, we didn't have Facebook. Now, I know that some of the youngsters are getting married on Facebook. I had no idea 20 years ago when I was struggling against child labor and slavery about the Google. And now the 6, 7, 8-year-old children don't believe their parents, but they believe in Google Baba. Just in 20 years, something can become so old where everybody thinks that Baba or Pardada, grandfather. So dear friends, here in India, you come from different parts of the world, but I could see your faces that most of you are born and grew up in India, and India needs you. Hyderabad needs you, Telangana needs you, and the whole country needs you, the whole world needs you. Because your innovation, your information technology, the modern science can transform the character of lives and livelihoods globally forever. The way the artificial intelligence is growing, the way robotics is growing, it can definitely bring about sustainable change in the society. But on one hand, where we are making so much progress, on the other hand, we live in a world where millions of children cannot go to school. Many of you might be knowing that 60 million children in the world have never seen the school gate. Another 200 million children were forced to leave schooling before completing their secondary education. They should be in schools, but they are not. So altogether, 260 million children have never been to school or dropped out from school in early age. Last week, I was in Argentina, Buenos Aires, to inaugurate the global conference on child labor, the official conference of ILO and governments. There were 60 or 70 ministers from all over the world. So as the inaugural and closing speaker, I challenge that how we can call ourselves civilized and cultured and highly technocrat and educated if 152 million children are still staggering in child labor, and half of them are living in slavery or victims of trafficking or working in extremely hazardous and inhuman conditions. These are some challenges. Now this day, today, when the richest person on the earth is going to announce an increase of $200 million in his wealth, in his earning, this day, 9,000 children would die in hunger and malnutrition globally. These are some vital challenges we cannot simply ignore. We have to find the business solutions to social problems. But this is the time we have to find the technological solutions to social problems, combining with our businesses and ventures. Because we live in a new world. Yesterday we were discussing over the dinner with some of the friends about education. I see that there are 4 major areas where entrepreneurs, the information technology, and the youngsters like you have to make strong interventions. One is education. As I said before that if 60 million children have never been to school, and India itself needs at least 1 million primary teachers. That was the latest official report appeared in the newspapers 2 or 3 days ago. 1 million only in primary schools. The serious gap of teachers. When can we think of a quality education which could be delivered for every child if we don't have adequate number of teachers? How technology can help? Not only in imparting knowledge or very basic learning of numeracy or literacy and so on, but you have to think that how some of the fundamental values and virtues where the gurus, where the teachers used to inculcate in the minds and hearts of young people, even in the souls of young children, could also be clubbed with the knowledge. How the digital world can help in the democratization of knowledge. It is not just imparting knowledge, but the knowledge which could all be built from the bottom and could be used by everyone, everywhere. So education is a major challenge. There was a World Bank and UNESCO report, and that was quite encouraging to know that if a developing country is able to ensure literacy to all its people, then 1 year of education will help in an increase of 0.37% of GDP growth. The 10 years of education for a child in a country, if every child receives 10 years of primary and lower secondary education, it will help in the enhancement of almost 4% of additional GDP. So it has a very strong economic imperative. Child labor is another issue, I said. Many people might have not thought that on one end, 152 million children are in full-time jobs. And altogether, 218 children, 18 million children are engaged in economic activities. Jobs as well as working along with the parents or whatever. 218 million. And you know that how many young people in the world are jobless? 210 million adults are jobless in the world. So think of this vicious circle of illiteracy, poverty or joblessness, and child labor. If 218 million children are taken out of work, then these vacancies could be filled by able-bodied adult people. And that will also help in breaking the vicious cycle of poverty and illiteracy. Because these able-bodied, employed people will demand education for their children, and it is again the state responsibility to ensure education. So we can break this vicious circle. The second area is health. You can combine with malnutrition, where the innovations are needed in health. Unfortunately, health and education became so expensive commodities. Though they are fundamental rights in many countries, education is definitely fundamental human right. India has a very strong provision in our constitution where education is right. But if education becomes commodity, if the basic health facility becomes a consumer good or a commodity, and only those who can afford can buy good health or good education, then we are not going to create a just and equitable society. So another challenge is that how you can help in bringing education as well as health, not as a commodity, but as a right to every single person who needs good health. And that involves innovation in health technology, but also in agriculture sector. Agriculture is another area where the innovation is needed from your part. And the third area is crime. In India, 2 children are raped every hour. 1 child goes missing every 6 minutes, so 9 to 10 children go missing every hour in India. These are the NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau's statistics. What does it mean? These children are not disappearing in thin air. They could be sold and bought. And I have personally rescued not hundreds but thousands of children from slavery, where they have been stolen from one place and sold in lesser price of cattle, animals, in other place for 6,000, 10,000, 12,000, 50,000 rupees. And when the girls and boys say that, look, we were sold for 12,000 rupees, and a buffalo in our city, in our village, is sold for 200,000 rupees. Is it not a shame? So how technology, may it be facial recognition, may it be other biological, the biometrics, may it be simple measures of cameras on all the routes where the children are taken to in transit. So many simple things can help in averting the crime against children. The artificial intelligence can also help in stopping the menace of child sexual abuse that is also quite common in schools, in villages, in cities and towns, homes. There was a report 10 years ago that was officially released by Government of India and UNICEF that 53% of India's children face one or other kind of sexual abuse before attaining the age of 18. So 1 out of 2 children. Why can't you help? Why can't you help in this missing children menace, as well as the sexual abuse which happens at homes, in schools, in neighborhoods, places like that? And the fourth and important area is citizenship. We can all feel proud that we have so much knowledge. But I work across 140 countries with young people. And I know that how disillusionment, intolerance, impatience, and violence is growing among young people. If you are not able to give them a great or a better future as well as a better purpose of life, then they become impatient and ignorant, intolerant, and violent sometimes. So how we can create those platforms through technology where we can build a sense of global citizenship. That means mutual respect, plurality, tolerance, a sense of responsibility to each other, to the planet, to the society, to the people, to the culture, to everyone. That citizenship is needed, and you can work much more faster and much more effectively than anyone else. Dear friends, I have been working in my own way for last 40 years. It is not that how many children me and my organization has been able to free from slavery. More important thing that today, child slavery, child labor is an issue. Nobody can ignore it, neither the corporations, nor the governments, or civil society. We have created, myself is an engineer. I studied as electrical engineer and I gave up my career. Everybody was laughing at me that, Kailash, how can you jump into or embark upon an issue which was a non-issue in 1980 or 78, 79. Child slavery was non-issue, not only in India, but globally. In terms of knowledge, in terms of laws, in terms of discussion, debate, though it was a serious problem. We realized that we cannot live in this situation where civilization and slavery will go hand in hand. We will be able to achieve certain things, and today it's an issue. I have created the first ever social monitoring mechanism, labeling mechanism on the rugs, the carpets, which are made by child slaves in South Asia. In 15 years' time, the number of child laborers and child slaves in South Asian carpet industry, rug industry, according to US Department of Labor's 2 different studies, came down from 1 million to hardly 200,000. Because the consumers can get a better choice, the industry could get a better choice, and the children and parents could get a better life. So things are possible. When I started, the number of child laborers in the world was 200, not even started. Only 15 years ago, number was 260 million globally. In 15 years, it has come down to 150 million, 52 million. So change is possible. So how to find the solutions? Using your skills, your innovations, your technology is my appeal and call to you. Dear friends, once again, I would be thankful to you if you can help in changing the lives of millions of children in the world, getting rid of poverty, illiteracy, slavery, trafficking, and all kinds of sufferings they are having. You are champions, you are change makers, you are leaders. The world has globalized so many things. Now, from India, let us globalize compassion. Let us globalize compassion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.